Welcome to the Movie Pope Show, a place where film buffs and cinephiles congregate to discuss moving art in celluloid form. Without further ado, let's see what's on today.
Hello and welcome to the Movie Pope Podcast, and today we are going to be taking a look at The Devil Wears Prada. We are actually going to take a look at the world of fashion, something that I'm not too familiar with, but to help me with this are Dara Sanders and Arutyunyan, regular guests on the show. But before we dive in, remember to like, comment, subscribe. We're slowly growing our channel, so if you can hit that subscribe button and leave us a like, that'd be great. Let's the algorithm know that we're not dangerous. We're just having some good old fun with movies. So today we're going to take a look at The Devil Wears Prada, and we're also going to do a trailer reaction for The Devil Wears Prada too, because I'm kind of confused about why they're doing the second one, because I assume the story kind of wraps up
Me too.
Quite nicely in that. But I wanted to bring you guys in because Art, you used to be a fashion designer before you became a filmmaker, and Dara, well, you're a woman, so naturally you know all about fashion.
Yes.
So I want to start off by asking, what is it about this movie that you find so appealing? Because for me personally, it's just a chance to look at Anne Hathaway and all her outfits and just think to myself, wow, she's really, really good looking.
Well, I think for me, because I read the book, was seeing it on screen and learning about the casting, right? And for some reason, what struck me when I watched it, and I don't know if you all had this feeling, was Anne Hathaway has this ability to transform on screen that really works. Like it's almost perfect casting. Like, not to mention Meryl Streep, because whatever, we all know that was great. But Anne Hathaway really, really works in this role where she kind of transforms and becomes this fashion maven. We watch her transform on screen, but it's also one of those like it almost reminds me slightly, because it's not like exactly like the plot of An Education, but it kind of reminds me of that, where like over a period of time, someone goes through this kind of, what would you call it? Like hard lesson of life, like these life lessons that she's kind of going through, like in this short amount of time, that she kind of, it's a education for her, right? To have this, she wasn't even there a year, I think, right? So like,
yeah, less than a year.
Yeah, so it was like she went through a lot during that time, and she learned a lot.
Well, it kind of reminds me of My Fair Lady, where you take this person who's a bit of a rude, because because I think at one point she says she's originally from Ohio, right?
Yeah.
So she's like that.
Yeah. So she's a Midwestern girl. So obviously, Midwestern girl comes to the big city. She's got a lot to learn, like you said, and through some guidance and through making a lot of mistakes, she kind of learns, oh, this is how you behave and this is how you dress. Well, especially in this movie, this is how you dress in order to kind of make it big. And what I noticed too is the fact that when she was dressed like in her sweater and everything, she was very meek, very quiet, very shy, and she was just screwing everything up. But as soon as she puts on the outfit, it's kind of like it's that old adage, the outfit makes the person, right? All of a sudden, she's just this very calm, collected, like nothing phases her. I mean, Miranda wants a fashion show held on a volcano done. Like, it's like she could do anything as soon as she puts that on. Because to your point, she transitions, but it's almost immiscible. Like, you don't really notice until like when she starts, delivering, one task after another, and she's like, oh, well, who the hell is this? And even her boyfriend Nate doesn't recognize her, because remember that one scene where she's staying by the car and just walks past, and he's like, wait, who is that? So what is it about The Devil Wears Prada that kind of stuck out to you and that you enjoy? Because I know that this was a movie you wanted to take a look at for quite some time.
Yeah, well, the fact that it's about fashion and kind of provides an inside look into how the fashion magazine is built in this particular case. And besides the obvious things, that it's very funny, it's comedic, it's populated with colorful characters. And I agree with Dara that Anne Hathaway is perfect in that role. She's perfect in every role, to be honest, in my opinion. I think it's a perfect fish out of water story that we all love to watch, right? It's a hero enters a foreign territory populated with hostile characters, and she's so out of her depths, and she has to learn a big lesson, like Dara was alluding to survive there, right? And through that experience, she learns something new. She learns that she was prejudging this world that she's in now, and now she, at the end, she kind of learns to accept it, even though she leaves in the end, but she understands something that she didn't know before. She learns a lesson. It is a great, in many ways formulaic, but it's one of the best ones, I think. Fish out of water story, and coming of age as well, because she grows through it.
Yeah, because I agree with that, because like I mean, in some ways it's formulaic, but I will say, you know, it's not really a happy ending, right? Like it's not, I mean, there were like, you know, hard lessons she learned, like, right? Like for her to understand what do I want and what don't I want? Like at the end, to understand, is this for me? Which is something like, you know, everyone kept saying, you are so lucky, 1 million girls will kill to be in this position, but is that what you want? Like some people will just say, well, I'll just suffer, right? That's what Emily did. She just suffered. She just continued to suffer. Like, and she decided, no, this is not for me. This is not why I wrote about the janitors union. Like, you know, yeah.
And there's so many quotes. Sorry, go ahead. There's so many quotes, and there's so many funny quotes in that film. When that movie came out, a week later, everyone at work were quoting quotes from the film. You know, you're in desperate need of Chanel. Go get Patricia. You know, like it's just like one after another. It's like at least a dozen really funny quotable moments there.
When she says, what did she say? Like in the beginning, she was like, "Can you spell Gabbana?"
Yeah.
Like the first, she's like, "Who are these fashion people? Like Gabbana? How do you spell that? Like I've never heard of that." Yeah, no, it's great. And yeah, I was struck by how well they did Meryl Streep. Like when I first saw it, like for me, what struck me was Meryl Streep was like a revelation. Obviously, we know her as like one of the best actors, you know, male or female, ever. But like, God, the way she inhabited that role, like, and everybody was terrified of her. That was like the best. Like, oh my gosh, she's coming. We thought she was gonna be 20 minutes later, and now she's coming, and everybody's getting ready. Like that was the best. Like her first introduction, like, and she comes and she just starts talking. Is that too much to ask? Am I asking for too much? Is it? Oh, great.
Yeah.
It's the way that she's crafted in that movie, though, like it's just perfect, because the way that she looks, I mean, she does have that ice queen look about her too. And what I've learned, what I've also learned is that the scary people don't raise their voices. Like it's when they're calm and monotone that cuts a lot more. And the way that Miranda Priestly comes off, it's like this is someone who is put together, or at least kind of presents herself in the way that's put together, so nobody really knows who the real Miranda Priestly is, right? Because you remember when Emily gives Andy the instructions of what to do when she goes to Miranda's house to drop all that stuff off. She's like, just go in there, put the stuff in the closet, put the book on the table, don't talk to anybody, don't look at anybody, don't smile, just do it, and then leave, right? And then Andy, she kind of curiosity gets the better of her, and she like walks in on what's going on, and it's like that, you know, Wizard of Oz moment where the curtain gets pulled back and you see what's going on. And there's even a bit of a, I guess you can call it a heart-to-heart moment later on when they're in Paris, where Miranda lets her guard down and she kind of lets Andy know what exactly is going on in her personal life.
Personal life. Yeah. That was, to me, very, very interesting. And, you know, they really played that up because she had no makeup on, right? And you can tell she had been through like stress and some trauma or in some way. And so that was really played up, I thought. And yeah, and the veil, it was kind of revealed like a little bit that, you know, it gets hard at some point and you can't maintain it all the time. And I think at that point, kind of, you know, you think about somebody like her and whether or not she does have true friends to lean on and talk to about things that she's talking to her on people about what's going on. I thought was interesting.
Yeah, it's a very good moment because I think that moment kind of balances everything else we see Meryl Streep do in that film, right? It shows her humanity and the reasoning behind everything. And she's not just a one-dimensional evil person, you know. There's a heartache, there's a struggle that she's hiding. I love that moment.
Yeah,
but it kind of goes back to where to when they're in Paris and she's like giving Andy all these tasks, and she's like, you know, make sure they kind of put a lid on this because, you know, the papers love to, you know, print out how the dragon lady is going through, or was it going through a divorce or separation or something like that. So, yeah. so even when she is, you know, in her vulnerable state, like she can't really afford to be vulnerable, right? Because Andy also finds out from Christian that someone else is waiting in the wings to take over, right? So I do want to go back to Meryl Streep's portrayal because there's something that I've noticed, and I just want to get your guys' take on this. Is that because we've seen a lot of movies with Meryl Streep where she excels, she goes beyond, you know, what is required in order to put on a performance, right? And that's why she's one of the best. But I always felt like she she really wasn't having that much fun because Art, you and I, we did a review of Out of Africa, right? And she was playing this Danish noblewoman, right? Great performance. I do not for a moment think that she did anything wrong, but at the same time, it kind of felt like it was a bit of an artifice. Whereas here, where she's playing Miranda, it's like she's dipping into the toy box and she's like, oh, I can't wait to see what I can do with this role here. Like, I kind of felt like with Miranda Priestly, she was playing someone that she thoroughly enjoyed having fun playing, like through the sneer and the calm tone and the sort of sarcastic cattiness. There's a bit of enjoyment behind it. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
But to that point, though, Luca, when I think of Meryl Streep if I had to put it in years, I would say, you know, when I first started getting into movies, this is me, high school, college. So I would say sometime around maybe pre-2000s, let's say. I always thought of her as someone taking art house roles, right? Roles where she's crying, that are dramatic, that are Oscar worthy, right? And
she's paying her dues, basically.
Oh my God. Like, seriously, like when I think of the roles she took, like, you know, she was Deer Hunt. I mean, there were so many like films, like, and you're just like, what's the one where she had to Sophie's Choice? I mean, like when I think about like all of the films she did back then and what she's had now, like if you think of the comedic roles she's had the opportunity. She was in Mamma Mia, right? And It's Complicated, right? And some of the back and forth she has with Alec Baldwin is just too much. Like, it's so cute.
And don't forget, she was also in Only Murders in the Building. Also,
that's right. So like I really enjoy seeing her like this, and I wonder what she would say about it. I haven't seen any interviews where she talks about that, but I'm really curious about that. And so it's really cool to see her spread her wings like this in the comedic roles and see a different side of her than I remember seeing, like that I recall, like when she was younger.
Yeah.
But she was just leaping. I mean, just, oh boy, she had some really tough roles. Like, oh boy, because she also played the woman in Australia. What was the name of that movie? Who lost her baby?
The dingo ate The
Dingo
baby,
ate
yeah.
your baby.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because they make a reference in Seinfeld. That's right.
The dingo ate your baby.
Yes, Dingo ate your baby. Another film comes to mind, Death Becomes Her, and I think
Yes.
that's another
Yep.
role where
Yes.
she's given the space to go over the top, but
Oh,
still very masterful. And I think with Devil Wears Prada, it's the right space to do that. And I think that's why, Luca, you feel like she's having more fun with it, because I think the juxtaposition of what a serious journalist, that's Andi Sachs, arrives into this world of these people who are eating salads only, and I don't know, they're eating like 6 almonds for breakfast and they're all size 0. It's insane for a regular person. It's just over the top. It's insane. It's a lot of unnecessary sacrifices on the surface, right? Because
Yeah.
we learn throughout the film that it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's everything's taken seriously because it's business, and a lot of artistry involved. But the film, to me, is told from the point of view of Andi, who's outsider in this world. So for her, all these people are insane. They're over the top. They care about things that normal people don't care about. And I think that's why that Meryl Streep's performance in that feels like she just lets go and she's having fun with it. She goes over the top if she needs to, while whispering, obviously. But yeah, I think that's probably it. It's just the right project and right space to do that.
I mean, but to your point too, like, because because when we see in the intro, like everybody getting ready for work, it's like, well, of course this is insane, right? But but to your point, everybody who's in that industry, it's normal for them, right? So it's like it's almost like opposite land, like everything that we would find kind of strange and bizarre, and we're scratching our heads. They're like, well, of course this is normal. I mean, obviously we're going to dress up like animals in Central Park, like that's what we do here.
but I'm curious though, what did you think? First of all, I love that song by KT Tunstall, I think is his name. But what did you think about that intro? I mean, was that to you like kind of a look at, okay, these are this is the I don't know, like, I mean, I thought it worked to a point just to show the contrast with where she was at in her life, right? Like there, is that what she's aspiring to? I didn't see it necessarily as that, just working women. Like, I don't know. Like, how did you all see it?
Well, sorry. Well, I can't help but compare what's shown in that film and compare my experiences in the fashion industry. Granted, I didn't work for a fashion magazine. I worked for fashion brands, for fashion production companies. And honestly, none of that was true in my experience, in my experiences. And I worked in the fashion industry for 20 years, and I was surrounded by women, all ages, all types, all sizes. It was never a conversation of starving yourself or dressing certain way. Maybe it's New York versus LA. It's possible that that's the difference there. But here in LA, in the fashion industry, I mean, my coworkers, my female coworkers would show up in jeans and flip flops, and it was totally fine. Yes, some women dressed more, to a T. I had bosses who were put together, but that kind of behavior, the Miranda Priestly behavior, it's exaggerated in the film. I never experienced that to that level, and I had still have friends in that industry, and I've never seen them starve themselves or obsess about their size. To a certain degree, because they want to wear some fashionable stuff, and it only comes in certain sizes. But it was never like do or die kind of situation. So I couldn't like every conversation in the film, every dialogue, I'm like, does that ever happen? Did I ever hear anything remotely? And there's some truth to it, but it is largely exaggerated look at what the fashion world is. But again, maybe in New York it's different. I don't know.
I wonder if it is the difference, just because, like, I've been to California many, many times, and the California is like and I'm not talking Northern California, I'm talking mostly Southern California, the mindset and attitude is completely different from like the East Coast, even like me in DC. Like in DC, like we always talk about in New York, from my understanding, does this too. Actually, it's New York people that came to DC and did this. They don't let you get off the subway. They're going right on the subway, right? They don't let you get off the elevator. They're going right on there. And you're just like, hello, I'm from the Midwest. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, is it that serious? What the heck? In California, I remember when I went to California, I was just shocked at how nice everybody was. Like, everybody was nice and chill and laid back. It was just a lovely atmosphere. I was in Orange County and then the LA, like Calabasas kind of area, and I loved it. Like, it was great. Just the whole vibe was great. So and everybody, we went for a compliance trip for my job, and like we had suits on and they were wearing jeans and like even with the company, they were just like so like casual. And they said they called it, is it California business? I don't know. There's like a name for it, but no, they don't just, so that does not shock me at all.
Yeah, definitely more casual here than New York for sure. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is California. It's known for being very laid back compared to New York, where it's like, business, and you got to look.
I gotta get here. I hate you. Like, you're in my way. Get away. Like, and I was like, experienced that for like a long time. It's like, and then the driving first, that's a whole separate thing. So like, like that doesn't shock me that much. Like, ugh.
Well, to your point about the intro, like we get to see where Andi is at the very beginning, because she's like this young, naive person who, presumably she just got out of college, or she's, or she's been out of college for a while. Yeah,
that was my guess.
And she's trying to make a name for herself. She's trying to get a job with all these, all these big publishers. And obviously, if you can get your foot in the door, right, that opens a lot of possibilities. Because I think at one point they say if you work for Runway, that kind of opens up the doors for all these other places that you can go to later on. Yeah. So I really love the fact that we get to see like Andi at the very beginning, who's like this fresh-faced young, young lady who's trying to figure out what's going on in the world. And I did like the fact that she was eating an onion bagel and Nigel notices it and she's like, oh wait, was that me? Because she just doesn't care. Like, she just does what she wants to do,
But she also is, but that's normal, right? Like, if you think about somebody that is 23 from the Midwest, went to college there, and they're, like Art said, just plunged into this mega fashion world. This is the top fashion magazine in the world, right? And you will get judged. Sorry. That's going to happen. And so and I think, I tried to put myself in her shoes when she has the famous scene where they're putting together that dress and they have the two belts, and I think they were turquoise. And she's like, and she's like, oh, she's got a
point though.
They were like, right, that's what I'm saying. And she's like, I don't know, but someone says, oh, but they look so different. And she's just like, what? Like, she like smirks because it's like, what am I missing here? Right. And then she gets the fashion lesson, right? Like, do you not realize why you're wearing a cerulean? It was I don't forget, it was royal blue, but the reason why that color was popular, like everything, it trickles down. That fashion trickles down, and you don't even realize it. Because I think Miranda said from some bin that you found at the Limited or something, some clothing bin that you was go. That scene was great.
That was a brutal takedown, by the way. I was like,
but it is true though. That's a fashion lesson. Like, it does, affect you. Actually, the people in this room determine your fashion, however you want to call it. Like, we're not calling her fashion conscious, but like, don't think that you have,
But it's a subconscious thing, though.
Oh, you don't even realize it, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't even realize it. She doesn't know what Yves Saint Laurent did 2 years prior. She doesn't know that. But no, I just, that was very interesting. But yeah, like, her transformation seemed to me pretty quick. And as you said, Luca, it did change her personality as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly, right? Like, and she became more confident, even flirty, right? Like, all of a sudden she just walked with the confidence. Like, she kind of sort of became a different person. I think her boyfriend kind of noticed that as well. But
because remember, before, she was bumbling, and she goes to talk to Nigel, and Nigel's like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, either you sink or swim, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no other way around it, too.
Yeah. So no, yeah, but I think that I don't know, like, the way that, and well, we don't have to get there yet. We don't have to talk about the ending yet. We're not there yet. But
yeah,
the way that the movie develops is interesting because it seemed pretty finite. There was no, ooh, what's next? Like, and not even, I think, from the audience perspective, a curiosity about what's next. It was just like, this happened.
right.
Which is why it's like, this is where Hollywood kind of pisses you off sometimes.
I mean, it is following the book, though, so.
Right. I love that belt scene, by the way. Anyone whoever sneered like in conversations with me at fashion or frivolity of fashion, and why is this here? Why do we need to design so many skirts? Why? I'm like, go watch that scene. It explains it all.
It does.
It explains it all.
Because, like, one of the things that I've always baffled me whenever I, read Vogue is like, why doesn't this match? Why doesn't this match? And how does that work? How does that work together? What the heck? Like, that's, I think that for me, was always the disconnect for me. Like, and even you look at that, this was like a light maroon or pink kind of dress, and you're putting a turquoise belt on it, and then like this floral
jacket,
and you're like,
She was also carrying like a little hat. I'm like, does that go on top of this? Yeah.
I didn't understand any of that. I was like, well, it's just so random.
It is. It's so random, and that's always been my disconnect. Where I'm just like, I will never be at that level where I can understand how to put pieces together like that. Like, and that's a skill. Like that. Seriously, like, I take my hat off to those editors, I guess you would say, the fashion editors that do that, because like that, I'm just like, sure, yeah, I guess, if you say so. Like, that's how I saw like that scene. The scene was great, but I'm looking at the dress and I'm like, huh? If he's okay, sure.
I mean, give it a few months, Dara, you're going to be buying it off the rack anyway.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So it's Vogue and all those magazines, they're more aspirational, more dream. If you're dreaming about how fashion should look, that's how it looks. But yeah, you don't really take Vogue and dress exactly how it's shown. You put pieces that work for you. You wear that jacket with jeans, Yeah.
So my question is, so the thing that I was wondering, because as I'm watching those scenes, I'm just wondering, so obviously nobody in real life is going to dress like that. Like, whether you're in LA or New York or in the Midwest, do these designs kind of form a template as to what normal people are going to wear? So like, if someone makes like if Maison Margiela makes like a zebra print, like, fur jacket, right? Obviously, you either have to be out there or really, really loaded in order to buy that jacket. But you know, but do the designs that these fashion designers make, do they kind of like form a template as to what ordinary people, you know, us regular mortals will wear like in the fall or winter?
Yeah, they create trends. Yeah, like you say templates, I say trends. They create trends.
Okay.
So zebra print, it would be one of the trends that year, that season, and then it will translate into more subtle zebra prints that you buy at the store, whether it's like a t-shirt in zebra print or maybe like I don't know, a skirt in the zebra print, but everything else would be whatever you want to put it with. It's not,
Okay.
or just a short little dress. And yeah, so they create zebra prints. There were, when I was in fashion, there were services that went to runway shows and they put together a list of trends that were kind of deciphered from all the collections, because Dolce Gabbana showed zebra and then Maison Margiela, as you said, showed zebra. Then that's something, you know, then that definitely should be a trend. So they compile a list of trends and they create like these mood boards that they sell for thousands of dollars to companies like mine. And now we know what are the trends. So it trickles down, as Dara was saying earlier. It all trickles down from the trends that these runway shows showed.
So say for instance, if I buy like a black hoodie with white sleeves, that, you know, that could sort of be like influenced by what the editors and designers, you know, a few months ago said that's going to be the trend for 2026.
Yeah, so color block was probably shown in a few runway shows, not necessarily black with white, but maybe they were color blocking where there were sleeves were one color, but the sweater, the body was another color. They just simplified it for people like you and me, so we're not like buying something that's purple here and pink here. It's a little too much for me, you know. I want to wear something simpler. That's why it's black and white, but it's still color block. It's still the trend.
Okay,
because like, I guess for me, like, should we think about like Vogue and kind of what they were doing is more similar to what they would wear on the runway versus ready to wear what we would see?
I mean, but the runway is like fantasy land. That's the way. That's the way I look at it.
It seems I don't want to say exaggerated, but almost extreme, right? Because you see the runway clothes, and you're like, nobody's wearing that. Like nobody's wearing that. But it serves a purpose, right? Like there is a purpose for having that, and that is, this is the trend. Even though I don't know, like, because I've always thought, like, you know, unless it's like Vera Wang showing like some kind of wedding dresses, you're like, okay, that I get, but the runway is so like different, and I always thought about it like, why would you? And I still don't understand it to this day.
Really? I thought you would understand it quite clearly.
No, like I never understood why it is so exaggerated. Why it isn't more
it is over the top.
Wear looking. Yeah, ready. I've never understood that.
Well, I think
the only thing I never got.
Yeah, my take on it is they want to get onto pages of the magazines. They want to be on somebody's Instagram page, and if they're simplified and not as elaborate, not as out there, they're not gonna be shown anywhere.
Right.
That's the way to get attention to your collection. Whether you dress them in crazy hats or something,
or they do the hair all like a certain wild way. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
But if you go to their stores a year later, there's like a toned down version of all of that. Totally. That's more wearable, more commercial. Yeah.
Right. So like a pointy hat, you wouldn't wear a pointy hat, but if it's like, I don't know, like a flat cap with like a very subtle point, I guess that'd be more.
A little a little touch of that fashion, but it's more toned down. Yeah.
Gotcha. And I mean, this is a really great lesson here because because to your point, Art. I mean, we're pretty much following Andi as she's going through this process. And can I just say, like, Anne Hathaway, like, I mean, you guys, both y'all mentioned it, like, she knocks it out of the park. Like,
what I like about her, and like, I really appreciate this about her, is she's not cookie cutter looking. She has a distinct look, I think. And that's why I think the screen loves her. Like, it just, yeah, like she has a very unique look that works well. And you can play her up and play her down. Like, you can do a lot with her. Like, you know, because like you saw, like, as I said, there was literally a transformation. They really played her up and played her down, and it works for someone like her. Yeah, like it's no, but I think she's very attractive, but she's very unique looking. And
well, I was gonna say, do you remember watching the Princess Diaries way back in the day when she was playing Mia?
Andrews, right?
Yeah, when she starts out, she's got like this big frizzy hair and the glasses, and she undergoes the transformation. It's like, whoa, like I had never noticed you before. It's not as big of a transformation, but we still notice it, right? Because you remember you see Emily and Sabine, who played by Giselle Bundchen, by the way. They're having that conversation, and Sabine's like, "Well, she's really really good looking," and Emily looks at her and she's like, "What? She is." I got a laugh out of that because they were both genuinely shocked to see her like come through the door. Oozing, because you can feel the confidence like coming off of her, right?
And well, in fairness, they did give her a hell of a haircut. Let's not overlook that. That was
bang.
Well, I didn't notice that though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, they gave her a hell of a haircut. That haircut worked so well to frame her face. It was great. Yeah, like
and that Chanel jacket that she was wearing was very slimming and streamlined.
Oh yeah.
If you compare it to that bulky sweater, the lumpy sweater and the plaid skirt, whatever she was wearing, it's such a contrast. But I have to kind of poke fun at fashion a little bit, because there's a moment where Meryl Streep looks her up and down, and she stops at her square-toed, chunky, clunky shoes. I don't know if you guys remember, right?
The loafers. Were those loafers or Mary Jane's?
It's like loafers, but on like a
thick heel. That was a trend at one time. Actually, for a while, to be honest, the loafers with the heel. Yeah.
Okay.
The funniest thing is, and as I was watching the movie again, it's showing up on runway now, including Maison Margiela, as you were. It's really chunky, square. I'm like, hello, that's Andi Sachs shoes that Meryl Streep sneered at. Now it's back on runway. So that's the thing that I keep laughing about the fashion world, that we make fun of one thing today, and tomorrow it's all over runways, and it's a trend again. It's crazy.
And that's why, like, women sometimes don't get rid of stuff, because fashion is cyclical like that, and it will, give it 4 or 5 years, just like this whole, which I hate, by the way, this baggy jean thing. Like, come on, like, it's driving me crazy, but whatever. But I'm just waiting it out. I'm not getting rid of my old jeans. I'm just gonna wait it out, because I know it's not gonna be like this forever. But I hate it.
Okay, that actually explains quite a lot now. I've been wondering about that because I've seen some people have, like, because sometimes I'll watch like these YouTube videos of like people showing off their closet, and it's like, all right, well, there's clearly no room in that closet, but
no room.
In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if you've had those for at least 5 years, I would chuck it out. I would either sell it or donate it.
Yeah.
Velvet is another thing. Velvet is, to me, is cyclical too. I have a velvet blazer that I'll bring out every now and then. I won't get rid of it.
People still wear velvet?
Velvet you might get a year. It'll go away. 6 years later, it'll crop back up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything comes back. I'm watching my 12-year-old nieces, and they wear things that girls wore in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Those T-shirts with like screen print and daisies, whatever, and then flared pants, like that's 1970s. They wear them now. It's a trend now. It's like, and I every time they show up, I'm like, we used to wear that in the 90s. We used to wear that in early 2000s. And it's like, it's all coming back.
But it's just so weird how especially nowadays people are mixing and matching different time periods, right? Because
Yeah.
when my friends and I we went to go see Project Hail Mary, my friend's girlfriend, she was wearing like these, she was wearing like these long gym shorts, these long nylon gym shorts that I haven't seen since the '90s, since I was a kid, but she's also wearing like a denim jacket. And I'm like, like
Yeah.
I don't know if you're trying to do like a '70s thing or if you're like trying to recapture the '90s. What's going on? She's like, yeah, I'm doing a bit of a '90s, '70s kind of thing going on here.
That's interesting too, the denim jacket thing. Denim jacket is so interesting because like I have tons and they come out in so many different styles, Luca, which I'm sure you've seen. Sometimes it'll be puffed. Like this one, it's like distressed, right? This one I have is just completely distressed. And then you have the one with like the puffy, right? At the shoulders, it's like really puffy, or the kind that's like tailored.
Are they all different? Are they all different hues of blue also? Because I've noticed that too.
Oh yeah, but it's wild. And then you just have, you know, your random black denim jacket. I mean, this is why you have these clothes. That's why you have so many clothes. That's why we have so many clothes. That is why. Okay. I'm sorry. Like, shoes too. Like wedges. Wedges. It's very cyclical. The wedge shoes, the boots, right? Like the knee high boots, the thigh high boots. That's very cyclical. Like every 3 or 4 years, they'll come back in style. It's just,
yeah.
So we can get lost in the weeds here.
Yes, we did.
But it's actually a good point because the way that you explained all this kind of makes a lot of sense. And with Andi, you know, she kind of gets a crash course. First, Miranda kind of in her own way, she kind of like schools her, but then she goes to Nigel. And can I just say, Stanley Tucci, I mean, everybody focuses on Anne Hathaway, the up and coming actress, you know, who is making a name for herself, and then, you know, the screen legend Meryl Streep. But everybody forgets Stanley Tucci in there as Nigel. And I was actually thinking of you, or when I was watching those scenes, because I'm like, I could see you in those scenes, kind of like trying to like teach, you know, Anne Hathaway how to dress properly and actually present herself. You know,
I do sometimes.
Yeah, and we should just take a moment to kind of praise his versatility as an actor, because, like, I mean, you know, think about like the Pelican Brief when he was playing that hitman, right? Like, well, I forgot what his name was. He's played so many different the roles. He's so varied, the roles that he's played, especially early on in his career.
But he's like Meryl Streep. He's a chameleon. He can just
oh my god, totally a chameleon. It's so amazing. And you know, he has that cooking show. I haven't seen it. I think it's on. Is it on? Is it the travel show he has? The
I just see it on YouTube.
CNN.
So
yeah, he's great.
And he's married to Emily Blunt's sister, which is so
right.
It's so funny.
But I gotta say, what I really like about Nigel is the fact that he kind of. And you guys can correct me on this one. I kind of feel like he becomes like the reluctant guide, really, because
mentor.
Mentor, because because initially he's not really interested in her. Like, he just sees her as someone who will probably be there for like a few weeks. Then Miranda will be like, "Oh, you're not cutting the mustard. I'm getting rid of you and on to the next one," right? But I kind of feel like with with that, and I gotta say the interaction between Stanley Tucci and Anne Hathaway, I love those interactions. I think they're far better than the ones between her and Meryl Streep, right? Because with Meryl Streep, it's kind of like, I expect you to know this. Where Stanley Tucci's like, okay, well, this is where you're at. Do you know what Hermes is? Okay. Do you know who Coach is? And kind of like he unwittingly becomes her mentor and teaches her up until that point when they're in Paris, where he's like, oh, well, who put that together? She's like, oh, I just threw this on. She's like, and it's at that moment he's like, finally, my work is done. Like,
Yeah,
I
he
finally,
was just
I
like,
taught you everything.
that was very cute. I agree. That was a very cute scene, very subtle as well. That he was just like, it was a very subtle the way that scene unfolded, and he was just like, oh, you're learning, like you've learned, like yeah, you can, you know, and it was very simple, and he was just like, she was just like, yeah, do this together because I can do that now.
Nigel, I think relates to her because I believe he's also from a small town, and he was saying that he had brothers who were into sports, and he pretended to like sports while he was hiding runway magazines under the bed or something like that. So
Yeah, yeah, and he was taking sewing lessons.
Yeah,
he was taking sewing lessons
lessons.
while pretending to be at soccer practice. I think he said, I think he said he was from Rhode Island originally too.
So he relates being that fish out of water. Although his was the opposite, where he was the fashion boy surrounded by non-fashion people, civilians. And and her world is kind of mirrors that. It's the opposite. She's the outsider in the fashion world. But he is reluctant to help her. I guess maybe he was testing. Maybe he was apprehensive at first because she was not into fashion, because she admitted it. I don't understand it. I don't care.
Yeah, and he calls her out on that too.
Yeah.
She kind of made fun of it, I thought. Like,
yeah.
I felt like she kind of made fun of it in a way that was kind of a put down for how seriously that they took the industry, as they would if you worked for a fashion magazine, my God. But she was just like, this is a bit extreme. And that this is their livelihood. So that was, I would be offended by that as well.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of like and basically in their own way they were calling her a poser, right? I mean, to use a 90s phrase, they're basically saying, yeah, you're a poser. Like I mean, again, like you guys said, a lot of girls would kill for this job, and yet here you are, and you're not even making the slightest effort to learn a bit about what this world is about, really. Because I think at one point, when Sabine and Emily are talking, and they were talking about how they were in the makeup department, and they were laughing about how Andy picked up a brush and was like, "What's this?" Right? So it kind of from our perspective, we're thinking, oh, these guys are snooty and they're stuck up, but to them it's like, well, I mean, it's a tool. Yeah, it's kind of like.
But this is not. Yeah, I mean, it's not anything, especially for them. It's not out of the ordinary. This is normal, right? Like, yeah. And she's the one. And it was the funny thing with them was when they were in the cafeteria. Did he say? I think he said cellulite in the soup. I think your soup contains. So she had that corn chowder.
Yeah, corn chowder.
That she spilled, and she was trying to eat it, and she was just like, oh, this just won't do. This just won't do. Oh, so great. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Nigel, like, can I just say, like, the biggest, because when they're in Paris, like, I think he says, like, one of the fashion designers is going to make him a partner or something. And he was really excited about that.
Yeah, the fashion designer, the guy that did the the fashion show where Miranda pursed her lips. It was that overpaid position that, of course, eventually went to the French editor of Runway, but he was so excited, and it really made me think about what his ambitions were or used to be at some point, because he said he had been there for 18 years. That's a long time. I mean, would you say he was probably deputy editor, some like Tally level? That's what I was picturing potentially. Like, at that level, but like it did make you wonder what his goals were, right? Because he's like, I'm free, right? Like, that's the way he looked at it, right? Getting that job, like, I'll be finally free. Like, and I'm like, my God, like, I mean, that sounds horrible when you think about it.
Well, I mean, he did say, this would be an opportunity for him to for him to call the shots for once.
Right, to be the boss. Yeah, absolutely. Because if he was a creative director at James Holt's brand, then he would be calling shots, as you said. He would be the Miranda of his brand. Yeah, but natural to Miranda, she set him up to save her own position.
Because I would imagine, because the thing I thought about with the woman, her name is Jacqueline, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
She was probably cheaper than Miranda would be.
Right.
And if you look at the fashion magazine industry, certainly at that point where now it's kind of descending, right? Like you're trying to save costs wherever you can. But like that, to me, that made sense. But like, if she can get this, as Miranda said, overpaid position, like probably gonna jump on that. Yeah.
Well,
so he had to be sacrificed.
Yeah, and I found myself feeling for him too, because
I did too.
Because you'll notice that the relationship that Miranda has with Nigel, it's like, I mean, he's her lieutenant basically, and remember that meeting where they're talking about I guess plans for the latest edition. I think that one lady was making a suggestion. She like strikes her down like right away, but then when Nigel says something, she listens to him, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah, totally. But it's I don't know, like it's I mean, my guess, and again they didn't say it, my guess is he was like literally the right hand. But I that wasn't really defined in the film really. But that was just my guess. That he was like deputy editor or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's just really heartbreaking because when they make that big announcement, he's like, Miranda will thank me someday, and I'm like,
right. That's what I'm.
I don't know if that's going to happen now.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
yes.
You feel for him. I really felt for him.
So right. So what that meant to me is that she's so powerful. She can set people up in different positions, and she also can sacrifice them like she did to him. So I think he knows now how she operates and what she's capable of, that because he was the sacrifice in her keeping her position at Runway, she can thank him by getting him maybe another job or something like that. Because Anna Wintour is known or was known for being able to set up, let's say, unknown designers in a big brand and give them an opportunity, and or vice versa. She could make people's careers. She could break people's careers.
Yeah, because you remember when they're in the car, and Miranda basically was recounting like the conversation she had with who's like
the publisher. Yeah,
the publisher, and she basically said, all these photographers, all these models, all these designers, I built a relationship over the year. I basically cultivated their career. If if Jacqueline were to take over, they all agreed that they would walk, like they would no longer be part of that. So
that's pretty big.
Yeah, exactly.
That's power. Yeah.
But I do want to circle back to Andi Sachs, because as she's developing, like we begin to notice that she begins to drift away from her friends and Nate, right? Because I think at one point when they're at the art gallery, Christian kind of gives her a peck on the cheek, and then Lily like sees it and she's like, well, the Andi I know is madly in love with Nate, and the Andi I know would never do this. I don't know who this is. And at that point, you kind of have to wonder, who exactly is Andi Sachs at this point? Because we've seen the transformation, like physically, but we've seen subtle hints of it where she's more confident now, and she's able to acquire the unpublished manuscript of the next Harry Potter book, right? Which I think is total BS, but it's whatever. but it kind of makes you wonder, like, just how far will that transformation go? Because everybody makes that joke about, oh, you're turning to the dark side. You're turning to the dark side. But you kind of have to wonder, like, I think she really is turning to the dark side based on what we see happen later on in Paris.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder, like, when I think about like like, to me, her transformation was mostly about confidence. I don't necessarily think she was moving away from her boyfriend necessarily, but I do think she was becoming immersed in the industry and how it works. And they kind of had their kind of personalities, or the way that they knew her. It began to change, and like, how would I say it? Like, to me, like, it was like she was becoming, like, she was drifting away from the Midwestern values that she had kind of grown up with, and she was moving more towards the New York savvy kind of, if you're the assistant to Miranda, you have to do some things to get things done, right?
Yeah, you pick up a few things, yeah.
Yeah, you pick up a few things, and that can translate sometimes into your personal life. And then it's just like, who is this? You would never do that before. Like, I think that was more like her work bleeding into her personal life. Like, to me, like, and to be successful as an assistant for Miranda, there were certain things that she had to learn to do. And I think it bled into her personal life. And I think that was just like, okay, I don't recognize, you would never do this. I mean, just like anybody you would know, and you know what they're capable of. And you're just like, who is this person? Right? Like, that's what I think it was to me. Not like, not necessarily in a bad way, but just, yeah, you're willing to do things you normally would not have. That's how I saw it. I don't know.
Yeah, she started playing by new rules, right? And that's why you mentioned the ending. That's why I like the ending of this film, because she kind of goes back to her values, and she stands up to what she believes in, and not falling just blind victim to this new seductive world,
Yeah, but I think at that point when Miranda like makes that statement, I don't say this to a lot of people, but you remind me of me. I think at that point she begins to realize, oh shit, like, am I really gonna?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. It's
After seeing what Miranda did, right? Like, so you're like, I want to be that. Like, come on. Like,
come on. Miranda is going through a divorce, and Andi just broke up with her boyfriend, and she even makes she makes the point. She's like, what I did to Nigel, how is that any more different than what you did to Emily, right?
Right, exactly.
Although to be fair, I was gonna say like what use could Emily be if she's in the hospital?
Yeah, and she couldn't walk, essentially, right? Like, she really couldn't do much. But in fairness, Emily was not the most sympathetic character in The Devil Wears Prada. I mean, she made no attempt at all to be her friend, like, and I know they're in competition with each other, but my God, woman, like, you could be a little, you could have done more. You could have done more. She was not a sympathetic character, like, at all.
Well, hold on. To be fair, though, like she did like pull Andi aside and kind of tell her, these are the do's and don'ts of what you shouldn't do. Like, if she really was trying to be catty, she would probably deliberately give her like, information that wasn't conducive to her career, or withhold or kind of mislead her, right? But
I disagree. I think that if she doesn't do it, then now Emily has to do it. That's kind of how I saw it. Like, you have to carry your weight, kind of thing. You have to carry your weight so that I'm not the one doing everything, because if you screw up, now I have to do everything. It's just like when, Miranda told her, I want 16 skirts from da-da-da, and then she says, don't bore someone else with your questions. You're just like, what the hell? I was like, oh, what? I don't know what you just said. And then she's like, yeah, what was it? Because, who's going to know what the heck? How can you learn on the fly. If someone is just barking out like orders to you and you're just supposed to like remember like that, like, so like I do think like that's why she has two assistants. Somebody has to pick up the slack, but Emily does not want it. Not Emily, what's her name? Her real name is Emily, but
Emily.
like she does not want to be the one that's doing everything because Andy can't do anything.
Also, a great performance by Emily Blunt.
Oh, yeah.
So funny, so juicy, delicious. Just like all the behaviors and the jokes and rolling her eyes, and when she talks about her dad. My dad is leaving. She's like,
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, Emily and Andy are kind of like mirrors of each other, right? I mean, because Emily kind of reflects what Andy will become. So Andy's got to decide: am I going to turn into that, or am I going to try to?
But that's another, and that's another thing that she does have to consider, right? Like, to be honest, as she goes through this like internship, and she's like, what do I want to do here? What am I doing here? What do I want out of this? And what do I want to become? Right? Like, what is it that I want? And you're looking at this woman who's like, I did all this so I can go to Paris, right? Like, this is all I've worked for. I get to go to Paris. And she kept throwing it in her face. She was.
I mean, she was starving herself, literally. So
right. Yes.
It was one stomach flu away from.
Oh, I love that. I can relate to that so much. Like when you, oh my God.
I was gonna say, like, if you worked for Miranda, if you worked for Miranda Priestly for all these years, like, I imagine you would have the wherewithal to know you don't walk into a meeting, just dripping from the nose in every orifice. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's weird. Yeah.
It's like it's like at that moment, like, you kind of have to wonder, like, was her brain turned off? Like, what?
Yeah, she
like, what exactly is she doing?
Right. Yeah, that was weird. I agree.
Because Miranda's not going to feel sorry for her if that's what she's looking for.
Right.
And the way and the expression on her face, it's like we're all thinking the same thing too. Like seriously, lady.
How does she describe her too? Because they both had to go to that gala where she missed her boyfriend's was it a birthday party or something?
Yeah, birthday.
Says, oh, you have to go because there's someone your fellow assistant has the plague or something. How did she had the way she described it was hilarious, but how she described the fact that she was sick, and so Andy had to go as well. But I can't forget how she described it.
Yeah, and then when Miranda basically says, I want you to come to Paris, that's like the moment where she's like, okay, like, I'm in the club, but at the same time, it's like, if I'm in the club, I got to push someone else out.
Someone's not in it. Yep.
And what happens to Emily too? I kind of feel bad for her because, as much as you want to kind of like just shame her for being a bully, right, and being very catty, when she does get struck by that taxi, it's like,
oh, that was bad. Yeah,
you kind of have to feel bad for her because whatever you think of her, like, we can all empathize. We've always wanted to go on a trip, but then something happens, and we're like, it's that moment where we're like, man, we can't really turn back time. Like, that was our one opportunity and we missed it.
And then she realized she wasn't going. She just started stuffing carbs. I was at the hospital. It was so funny. Did you notice, like, the first thing she did was open the pudding cup? I was like, she's going right for the chocolate pudding right there. Everything she deprived herself of. You understand it though. Like, you totally get that. Yeah. That was funny.
I mean, I was like, as soon as she did, I was like, Emily's not such a bad person after all. She's going for the chocolate pudding, but also too, when she like gives that little diatribe, that little speech to Andy, she's like, you went to the dark side as soon as you put on those Jimmy Choos. It was like Miranda, not Miranda. It was Emily just coming out and just saying, yeah, like, you've changed, like, you've clearly become a completely different person from when you started, I don't know, weeks or months ago, right?
She didn't know she was capable of that.
Right.
She really didn't. Like, honestly, like, she sized her up early on, and she was like, yeah, yeah, she can't handle this, right?
She's a
Like,
lightweight.
right? Yeah, she's a lightweight. And then she's like, wow, you shocked me. You really surprised me.
There's
Yeah.
a line. Yeah, there's a line at the very beginning when she first meets Miranda. She says to her, "I am smart and I learn fast." And I love those scripts and those movies that kind of tell you at the beginning what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
she, in that line, she says, "I learn fast." She did learn fast.
She did.
Yeah.
Yep. She stepped over her broken leg to get to get to Paris.
Yeah. The irony of it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is ironic, but
But I do want to but I also want to take a look at I also do want to take a look at Nate for a second too, because I really
Mm.
do feel bad for him too, because here's this guy, he's working his way up. You know, he starts off as a cook or a chef somewhere at a you know at a pretty modest restaurant, and in his mind he's just thinking to himself, I'm with a great girl, you know. Yeah, she's working for this, you know, fashion magazine, but so what, you know, everybody needs to, you know, work to pay their bills, right? And you know, throughout the movie, like, he sees this transformation, and they have that big
Well,
argument, and then
yeah.
and then you know, they just break up, you know. And he even tells her, he's like, you know, and one of you guys can correct me. I think he says, you know, who you know, if you're willing to pick up that phone call, that kind of shows, you know, which relationship has top priority in her life. I'm probably butchering it, but I'm paraphrasing what
Yeah.
he's saying here.
Yeah, I mean, essentially that's the gist of what he says, but like I felt like God, I'm so torn about this, only because, like, you know, her being a bit more forthcoming about, this is what this job is going to entail, and there are going to be times where this and this and this happens, and I want you to know that it's not going to be forever or whatever. Maybe that would not have worked, but hiding stuff, you know, doing that type of thing, and like, no, I'll be there, and hoping, and oh no, and doing the whole, and obviously it's better played in movies when it's like you thought you would make it and then you're late and now you come home with the cupcake with the light, whatever. But like I felt like that was probably her immaturity, in that she didn't handle it that well. Because I don't think, like, her transformation was so great that it still couldn't have worked out, to me. I don't know how you all feel. To me, that's just how I feel. Like, you know, I don't think that, like, their relationship was doomed because she was doing this. God, I'm trying to get this light. It's just in my face. Anyway.
Because Nate and Andy are both thinking to themselves, you know, it's the job that's going to go away, but you and I were going to stay. Right.
So, like, you know, this is not going to be like forever, but it is demanding, and you need to understand that. So, like, you know, there were times, you know, where they played it up, where, you know, that she was giving away gifts to her friends, right? Which is, you know, normally what you would think she would do. But then, you know, Miranda calls and they're joking about it, and she's just like, come on, what are you doing? And she acts like, you know, very serious, like, oh my God. And they're like, calm down. What is wrong with you? Right? Like, when she does that, I think, you know,
she calls them assholes, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it was a little extra, but like, she overcame that. I mean, that was extra, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like, you know, it wasn't doomed. Like she was immature about it, I think.
Yeah, that particular moment, every time I watch the movie, that particular moment gets more and more old-fashioned to me personally, because I feel like in 2026 they wouldn't make a film where a young woman has to pay price for being ambitious, right? She's trying, she's being ambitious, and if he was him, we wouldn't even bat an eye, you know.
No.
If he was
works late at the firm, blah blah blah. Yeah,
right. It would be totally normal. And I think it's just a movie of its time as well in some ways, especially that particular moment where she's being judged by her friend and her boyfriend for being ambitious and being a go-getter and trying to prioritize her career over a hangout or whatever. But you know, it was made in what 2006 or so. It's you know, it's
I
product
think
of its time.
before that, when was it made? I know definitely early
Early
2000s.
2000s, yeah.
For
So
sure.
let's see the new one. Let's see how they address an ambition, a theme of ambition in this new one, Devil Wears Prada 2.
Yeah, it's
Did
been
you?
20 years now. So 20 years in between films is
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting because I thought to myself, like, you know, she's gone through an interesting transformation herself, like as an actress. Like she went through a period where people were like, I hate Anne Hathaway. I can't tell you why, but I hate her.
yeah. Isn't that
It was
strange?
a serious period where it was around the Oscar she got for Les Miserables, right? And then there was just, you know, when she was engaged to a con man, I don't blame her for that, but for some reason, she was people didn't like her.
Yeah, it was so strange to me. I didn't get it.
It was so
Yeah.
weird, you know.
I
And
mean, did they? I mean, did they ever give a good reason why? Was it because?
I don't know. I remember
Annoying. Yeah, annoying was the word for some reason.
but
Right?
and they remember they slammed her Oscar speech, right? Because it was
Oh.
just like, come on, what is this?
We also remember I forget which one it was, but she co-hosted with James Franco the Oscars, and a lot of people
right. She
and,
did.
and a lot of people panned it because they were like, yeah, this is really cringe. Because the idea was at that time they got those two because they were trying to draw in a younger audience, but it backfired in their faces. But I don't know if that played a factor as to why later on everybody started hating it on Anne Hathaway.
Right, but there was no real reason. I actually was on Instagram this weekend, and I remember it was an entertainment reporter on a podcast talking about how she hated her for so long, and she was like, I can't even tell you why.
Yeah.
Like she said, I can't even tell you why I dislike this one. See, like, but there are people in Hollywood that you just like, I don't like her, or I don't like him. I don't like him for no reason. And she had that for about, I would say about 10 years. I mean, I would be wrong, you know, it was for a while.
Yeah. She said at some point she was going to quit, and then she got it was it Batman movie or Interstellar or something like that. So Christopher Nolan's
She was in
movie.
Batman. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, she was in The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, she played the
Or
Catwoman.
Dark Knight Rises, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Very strange, and it used to happen to women, like in early 2000s, and I could name a few successful, known female actresses or female directors or filmmakers who got that bad treatment for no particular reason. Lena Dunham being another one. For some reason, people just like started hating her.
Yeah, people did not like her. And I think hers was more foot and mouth disease, I think. She said some really strange things that rubbed people the wrong way. I think that was her issue, and I don't even
was this before Game of Thrones or during?
Sorry, it was. It's not Lena.
Lena Headey. Sorry, I'm thinking Lena Headey. Okay.
No.
Yeah, Lena Dunham. Yeah, from Girls. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think it was. To your point, I think it was more the fact that she was just saying like these politically provocative things, and people were just like,
saying stuff. People were like, huh, what? But to your point, Art. To pick up on what you said, another thing I remember, and this is completely unrelated to Anne Hathaway, but I remember distinctly that certain actresses, this is pre-Weinstein reveal, were branded as crazy and hard, difficult to work with, difficult to work with, all that stuff. And that was like industry talk that got discussed about them, and it bled into like, entertainment magazines and all this stuff. And I remember that about like, especially about Ashley Judd. But now you realize why. But it's so interesting that took hold. Like that really took hold. That there was probably about 5 actresses that people just accept it. Oh, she's difficult to work with.
Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's it makes me think that it was probably a deliberate campaign by the Weinstein Company or whatever.
Yeah, it was a deliberate campaign, and it makes you think about the women that were I don't want to say compliant. That sounds bad to say, but the women that
they wouldn't play ball.
That did play ball.
Yeah.
Oh, the ones that did.
Think about the women that did play ball.
Yeah, because wasn't Rose McGowan like one of the people who was deemed very difficult, and then she spoke out, and because I remember for a long time people were like,
always spoken. Oh my God, I love that woman. Jawbreaker is like one of my favorite films. Anyway, go ahead. I love her. Anyway.
Yeah, because I remember for the whole Weinstein thing kind of like took hold. Like she was saying all these things before about, like the producers in Hollywood, they'll give you a certain role if you do this or that for them, and nobody listened. And then finally people began coming out, more and more, and everyone's like, okay, Rose McGowan isn't crazy. Maybe she isn't batshit crazy after all. Maybe she was telling the truth.
Right. It took a long time because he was so powerful. It really took a long time. And getting people on the record, according to what's the Megan Twohey and I forget the other journalist, but that's what it was, getting people on the record. It was why it took so long. They worked on that story for so long and they could not get people on the record. But that's just, oh boy. That to me, it's just horrible when I think about that. But
but I was gonna say, like, and Dara, I told you this when we were doing our Oscar predictions a few weeks ago. I mean, this year, next year is going to be the year of Anne Hathaway. Like, she is going to win an award for something, because not only is she coming back with Devil Wears Prada 2, but Art, you and I did a trailer reaction for Mother Mary, which I would say is like the dark version of the Devil Wears Prada in a sense. And then in July, she's playing Penelope in the Odyssey. Mm-hmm. So it'd be very interesting to see just how, because she's playing like 3 completely different characters.
Yeah.
Right. Because she's coming back playing Andi Sachs, who we all know, but kind of have to wonder, like, how big of a change are we going to see in Andi Sachs? And then she's playing Penelope, who is this crafty woman who's trying to keep all these suitors away from her while she's waiting for, her presumably dead husband to maybe come back from Troy after 20 years. And then she's playing this pop star who's singing, which I learned the other day, like she actually does her own singing in the movie.
Well, she did in, oh my God, Les
Mis, yeah.
Right, but Les Mis was so interesting to me because I remember this is just a short story, but I remember my friend wanted to see it so bad, and we had no idea that the entire film was the entire film, and it was like 3 hours, and we were like looking at her like, are you serious right now? Is this real?
Well, Anne Hathaway looks great with short hair. That's what I learned.
But to me, she looks better now. She's really grown into herself. Like she looks really great. I think, like, she looks really good as she's gotten older. Are you asleep?
I mean, I was gonna say, I think this year, like, obviously, because I know the both of you have told me on separate occasions you guys would like to do a review of Brokeback Mountain, so we'll definitely do that. I would also like.
Oh God, she played Jake Gyllenhaal's.
Yep, that's right.
Oh God, and when she was talking to that scene when she was talking to him when he was asking, well, where is he? And she was talking, and then they play like because what she's saying is different than the. Oh my God, that scene is.
We will review it.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
we will review it together.
I just love that movie so much. Sorry.
I mean, hey, that's why I'm introducing you guys today. But I also want us to do a review of Mother Mary when it comes out, as well as Devil Wears Prada too, because obviously we're talking about the first Devil Wears Prada. But I want to go ahead and start wrapping things up before we do the trailer reaction. So how did you guys feel about the ending of what happens in Paris? Because, she finally gets to that level where I would say she kind of has Miranda's respect, right? Miranda feels comfortable enough to confide in her and kind of let her guard down, right? Because before she's presenting this persona of someone who's put together, who's in charge. Nothing gets her down. She's got a picture perfect marriage. She's got great kids. She can be a little bit difficult and demanding, but hey, when you're at the top, you kind of have to be tough as nails. To being exposed, to your point, Dara, no makeup, nothing, vulnerable as it is, admitting that, yeah, my husband wants to file for divorce. If he shows up in Paris, that's great, but I'm not expecting him to be here. I mean, it's just one of those things where you kind of take everything in all at once, because you have no idea as to whether or not you should feel sorry for Miranda, or if you kind of just want to grab Andi and just say, hey, stick with it. You don't have to walk away from this. Like, what are your thoughts here?
Well, but also the other point too, like that was interesting, her showing her vulnerability, not as surprising. I thought it was interesting that she felt a duty to warn Miranda about what she had just heard.
And that's actually another change too, because at the very beginning, like Andi was terrified of her, like she was like everybody else. And now she's like, and now she's like banging on her hotel door, and she's like, I need to talk to you right away.
And this is when Miranda's just going through her machinations to try and get, remain in the job, right? Like she's doing her own work because she realizes what's going on. Because remember when she told her, she basically shuts her down and said, did you tell them I don't want the flower, the freesias? And she said, if I smell one freesia, it's your ass, or something like that.
Yeah.
But she doesn't even react to it, which was, that was when she finally tells her, she doesn't react at all, because obviously she knew. But I thought it was more interesting that she did say something. That surprised me more than anything, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's a moment where she shows that she conquered this world in a way. She won big. That's her big win. That's a moment where we see that she won big in that moment. And she feels more equal to Miranda at in that particular scene as well. And we finally see that she really respects her. She's not just afraid. She's not afraid of her anymore. Now she really, truly respects what this woman does.
But Art, you remember when she's having that conversation with Christian, and Christian points out, hey, you're defending Miranda here.
Well, that's the part that I don't get, because it's like, do you want her to retain the job, right? Like, because it that's, to me, is the implication here, is that you are Runway, like this is your job and you need to stay in it, and I need to make sure you're aware so you can do what you need to do, whatever. That's what I thought, like the kind of warning thing was, because the woman would probably be, nice or whatever. Not necessarily, I'm not saying necessarily that she would be working for her, but it was just interesting that that some sort of bond must have been formed, that you felt like you had to warn her at that moment to at least make her aware, so if she could do something about it.
But did you notice something quite interesting? Because Christian was talking about the position that he would have in Runway when Jacqueline was in charge. Andi doesn't seem very concerned about what her role is going to be, and nobody seems to mention what Andi is going to be doing under the new regime.
But didn't it sound to you like he would be Stanley Tucci's position? He said Paige's editor, right?
Yeah, it sounds like that might be something different.
I mean, maybe different. The thing is, we don't know, because they didn't define Nate's role, right? So we don't know what his role really was, so we can't say for sure. But it sounded like a right hand man one position. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
But yeah. No,
great.
Surprised me in that way. It was surprising that she warned her, to me. I was
Yeah, great character arc right there, and great character development. She's a different person in some ways, but in many ways, as we keep watching the finale, that she kind of retains some of her core values too.
Well, it's the hero's journey, really, because
Yeah.
she kind of goes back to where she was at the beginning. But but to your point from earlier, she comes back, more experienced and far more knowledgeable than she was. Because remember when she goes into that job interview with the newspaper, the editor's like, "Well, you were there for less than a year. What exactly did you learn while you're over there?"
But then also the two cute parts, of course, is that she said she's the most disappointing, right, intern she's ever had, and if you don't hire her, you're an idiot. And then when they see each other, when she leaves, and Miranda, and she like goes like this, and Miranda doesn't really acknowledge her, and then she gets in the car, so when she can't see her. And she chuckles to herself, which I thought, and that was adorable. I mean, that was really cute. I really like that. I like, both of those. So, because that's in line with this, she's not changing. This woman isn't changing. That's in line with what we've seen in her character throughout the film. So that was cute. The way that was done, it was very cute.
Yeah.
But again, pretty finite. Why are we having another number 2? That's all I have to say.
Well, that's a very good question. I will say one more heartwarming scene, I think, was when Andy calls Emily and he's like, "Hey, I need you to do me a favor."
Yes.
And I couldn't help but just think to myself, you know what? Like, she's paying it forward. Like, this is her way of apologizing. And Emily, being her usual catty self, was like, "Well, I guess I can send Roy down to come and pick it up. I guess I could take it off your hands." And then she does something that's remarkable. She turns to the new girl. She's like, "You've got some really big shoes to fill."
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, okay, like I can finally appreciate her as a person, because she's not just this shallow, catty person who's just backbiting and being mean. Like, she can actually appreciate something nice being done for her.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'll say a tag. I'm not giving her an inch. I apologize, Luke. I'm not giving her an inch. She's still shallow because she wanted the clothes, right?
Yeah.
She didn't admit that she wanted the clothes, but she wanted those dang clothes, and I get it.
I don't blame her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well. I mean, listen. I can appreciate a nice deed when it's presented.
Yeah. True.